There was a whole lot of confusion in a small town in Georgia one warm summer day. It began at 6 a.m. sharp when the groundskeeper arrived to unlock the tall iron gate for visitors. Instead of letting people in, he found himself letting them out. There were 487 people buried in St. Joseph's Cemetery. Every one of them had left what was supposed to be their final resting place. The living dead traveled around town, seemingly unaware that they were in various states of decomposition. They made their way to what they remembered to be their homes, with many of them arriving and discover that it was now occupied by someone else. As the day wore on, echoes of scream and laughter both rang out through the air. By lunchtime, no one could explain what was happening, but they were happy that it was. Children were reunited with parents, lovers were given another chance to embrace, and friendships were rekindled. Dinner tables all around the town were vibrant that night. No one dared to question why the returned had no appetite. Clearly, stranger things had happened than their loved ones not being hungry. The town was asleep when the dead met in town square. No one had even noticed them gathering until the sun rose the next morning. Joy turned to concern when it was discovered that the entire riding congregation stood stone still in the center of town. Despite the living's best effort, the dead wouldn't even blink in their direction. A meeting was called at town hall that afternoon. The townspeople could see the massive, decaying human statues throughout the giant window of the front of the building. They questioned the doctors and scientists that the council had brought, but they had no answers to be given. It was regretfully decided that if the group outside had not become lucid again by the next morning, they would have to be reburied. There was simply nothing else to be done. Shortly after sunset, there was an uncomfortable silence among the group of men tasked with keeping an eye on the stiffs where they had stood. The men had been brave enough to volunteer for the duty, but harbored a deep fear in their hearts. A cool breeze blew a nauseating stench through the night air and ruffled what hair was left on the heads of the risen. The wind grew stronger, long enough that the watchers thought the corpses might fall. Perhaps the gust swaying the bodies would explain why the first movements went undetected. The first howling screams came just after midnight, the last sound just before 3 a.m. By sunrise the following morning, the dead had returned to their graves, this time with company.